how I was going to start this video. This video kind of just blew up and got pretty long without me even realizing it. But there's a lot of stuff I have to cover in this video, or rather not have to cover it, but I kind of want to cover in this video. And so there's quite a bit to go through. So in case like you guys don't want to go and listen to every single detail of every single part in this video, you can go ahead and just go to certain timestamps that I will be putting in this video for your convenience. So if you don't want to listen to like some nonsense like how I started a gacha, you don't need to. You can go straight to like when I talk about William's strategy, if that's like your interest. So I'll admit I never wanted to make a video revealing what I sounded like. I feel like this community has a problem with people that are my age. Like, it's not exactly accepted, at least I know this for those who do gacha videos. However, I've seen plenty of others who are older and they are doing just fine. Not to mention, it's getting increasingly more annoying to constantly write out to everyone in text, using my on-screen avatar. Despite writing stories, it's just impossible to show much emotion through text. At the very least, it doesn't provide the same impact or the impact I'd like to get across to everybody. Now, to start off, this video serves as the 10,000 subscriber special, and I'll be honest, my voice is nothing special. I just feel like layering this video as a 10,000 subscriber special. It was the perfect time to talk to everybody about a lot of stuff, to provide the people who watch my videos with some information. Though there's a bit of a scale here, or an imbalancement when regarding the people who watch my videos. I know most of you come from reactions, and the select few that are watching the stories, it's a bit concerning given I have the big fat sign on my channel page saying and telling everybody that I'm narrative and story focused. But the more stories I add to this channel, hopefully I can finally draw in a range of people instead of the whole scale to be tipped in the reaction zone. It's a bit unbalanced, but it's a hope and maybe even a goal. However, let me just go over some things, minor things, some little facts about how I started. Before I started this channel, I watched gacha videos like everybody else. FNAF wasn't even the first video I started watching. But YouTube, they'll recommend you to watch as to your preferences as well as because they may be related. FNAF ended up on my playlist at some point, just kind of trickled in there. I just kind of hooked onto it. I mean, it was an interesting little thing. I found it amusing. I'm not that knowledgeable when it comes to Gacha Club. I know Gacha itself. I've played plenty of Gacha games in the past, Genshin Impact included. But Gacha Club or Life I knew very little about. I know I'm not some long-time player of this game Gacha Club's like story mode or whatever. Like I know most are, but it didn't appeal to me at all. Like I didn't really care. After some time, I wanted to try my hands at a few reactions. I felt like I wanted to do my own thing. Like most, I did seem to enjoy them. In general, it did feel mostly amusing to react to other stuff, despite this not actually being like other reactions. But it amused me enough. And so, funny story. I used a very crappy timeline at the beginning that consisted of mostly just music videos that like were strung together to like kind of make sense to each other. If you know me, you know that I like to make things tie in as best as possible. And I never intended to do any more than what I wrote on that paper. And when I started trying to kind of go through with it, it kind of just changed. Like I made the first video ever on my channel a reaction. And like, when I made that, right, I thought, just making an entire channel dedicated to reaction is something that someone else has done. Millions or thousands of people have done. Literally just a channel consisting of nothing but reactions, and that's their whole thing, really. And I felt like, well, there's no point in me doing it either. If someone's out there's already done it, then there's no point in that I should do it too. But that was less of the thing. That was just more of a little minor thought. See, I released 2 videos. The very first time I posted as Zachary, because I had done both of them at the same time, and I thought I would just throw them out there. I felt like that was needed to kind of like get myself out. But I started with the reaction before I did the I guess that would be a story related video. I only made that second video because of my thoughts that were being kind of provided to myself when creating the reaction. Like, I was like, you know what, I should probably do more than just reactions. I should create like an in-between, you know? I should just write more than just the reactions in these videos. So that's when things changed, and it's weird suddenly wanting to do more than what with what I started, as I just something I just kind of wanted to throw out for fun. And don't get me wrong, I still do this for fun. All of you watching are a welcome and pleasant bonus. I don't really want to become famous or anything. I just want to do what I want. I feel like attention is not what I want. It won't be really a big deal because I don't really pay attention much to the community. I mean, I still take part in it, but I'm not really a fan of diving into that whole drama. And yes, I do believe I think it's drama. I do. My motivation for all this stemmed from just writing stories. I think that's what really changed my thoughts about what I was gonna do. And I do this on my own. It's kind of a hobby. So when I started out, what I started out as something remarkably tiny kind of turned into what it was now. Not that I'm all that big anyway. The beginning consisted of me creating everything I wanted, like my YouTube emblem, which I gotta change, and the scrapped intro that I had in like a total of like 4 or 5 videos. I just thought that was a bit silly. In the beginning, like I didn't feel like there's no point in having it. And my on-screen avatar, Zachary, which turned into my channel name. From there, my first videos of William's tragedy happened. By the time I made Afton Family Stuck in a Room for 8 hours, I had already planned out everything I intended to do for the first 2 chapters of William's tragedy. I already knew how I would create Glitchtrap and how I would make William and the others defeat him. I was just thinking up ideas so crazy. And I was just motivated that I came up with it early and quickly. The problem isn't coming up with it. The problem was producing it and producing what I was thinking. There's a fine line, because I think of a million things at once in these videos. Like, I do a lot of stuff. Like, I think that I can do all this stuff that I'm thinking in my head. But then when you actually go and you start, making the video, it's like, okay, I actually can't do everything that I want in my head. I have to like throw out ideas because they're just not going to work. It's not possible with Gacha Life unless I start animating and becoming a tweener or whatever you want to call them. It just wouldn't be possible conventionally, so I would have to throw out a few things. But that's why most of the fights generally have some sort of the actions, the gestures kind of seem to work out. And you'll notice that there's actually positions in my fights that don't even exist in Gacha Club. Like, there's positions that I have my characters take, like Evelyn, Mike Fazbear, has been in positions that just don't even exist on the position tab. They're just not there. That's because I make them myself. I wish Gacha Club had more variety for that, instead of it just being a typical, like, I like its diversity in positions and stuff, but it just doesn't seem like enough. It needs more. But each video, knowing this, takes longer than the last, because every new idea for those videos always gets more and more complex. Then I got into Gacha Club. This was mostly about life until now, which throws a wrench into the concept of producing videos at a consistent speed. Not that I was really quick at producing videos anyway, but I had the added benefit of actually giving the characters more gestures and expressions and positions. So it was totally worth it to switch to Gacha Club, because Gacha Life is so it's got nothing going for it except for the weird side of it that people seem to like. Okay, I am just gonna move on now. Now I'm about to go into detail about a few things. The first story I'm going to talk about will be William's tragedy. It's important that I go into this. When I first started making FNAF, Gacha, AU, alternate universe videos, whatever you want to refer to them as, I remember looking at other people's creations first. I wanted to see what it was that seemed the most common, and honestly, the more I looked, the more disappointed I got. Despite having seen a few videos, I had to make sure, but there were a lot of people that seemed to take Shadow Glitch's style of FNAF character creation. Now, you could argue against me here, but it's hard to say. The way most people outline and color these characters seem very similar. They gave me a big Shadow Glitch vibe to them. I don't know if they knew this themselves or if they were actually inspired to do the same. Regardless, this affected how I wanted to make my own FNAF characters. Before I continue, I know that a lot of people don't go for Shadow Glitch's style. However, it's not about the thing. It's not about like copying his style. It's generally about the same kind of deal. Like people throw on everything. What I wanted was just something simple. I can't love how Shadow Glitch or anyone who does this style makes their characters. It seems far too excessive. I went into this just now. Yeah, to add that many decorations to them, it almost feels like they were made to be nothing more than a walking Christmas tree. If I'm gonna be honest. Now that sounds pretty cold. No salt or hate on Shadow Glitch or anyone else. That's his or her preference, or they. But using every available slot to make a character, that's a no from me. I just wanted something on screen and easy to configure if need be. I know, like, oh, it's walking Christmas tree. It sounds a bit silly, but it really isn't. It's weird. It's just weird to me. That's all. That's all it is. Originally, I intended to make them different, but then I thought about how I would operate a timeline for these characters. And I can't just slap a one-size-fits-all appearance and call it there. I know many people change their character's appearance, but they do it just randomly. Hell, they'll even do it mid-video, and they'll do it in that video, and then literally the next video after, it'll be different again. It's like, I can't do that. It's not about changing their appearance because you just don't happen to like it anymore. It's about progression and story-related actions. I needed them to change over time, and when they changed, I needed their appearance to mean something at present and to develop over time with progression. That's why in the beginning people complained about their appearance, especially Foxy's appearance, because they thought Foxy was like a little innocent little, fox that didn't seem aggressive at all. Oh yeah, it's like I really think people miss the point of some of these things, but I won't get into that yet. William's Afton's appearance and Michael Afton's appearance most of all. William looked like he suffered 1,000 years without sleep, and he was like a smoker and a constant caffeine drinking at all times of the day. What I was trying to simulate was the struggle William had when trying to keep Glitchtrap from controlling him. Half of William's focus was on daily necessity and keeping himself upright, and the other is to make sure he isn't about to be forced into a dark pit replaced by Glitchtrap's mind. So I created the absolute worst appearance for him. It was 100% intentional, and surprisingly, it fit pretty well, all things considered. It was a bit flawed by Gacha Life's lack of options, but it did do its job. It probably would have been a lot better had I done it in Gacha Club, but Gacha Life was what I started with, and that's how it ended. Michael's appearance was very typical. This is something I followed along with others, and I felt having him wear a security guard outfit and having him in all purple was like that of William, which is a bit contradicting, because of his father. If I were him, I'd never want to associate with the likes of his father, or if I were him as my father. But it was a mere performance. Like William's favorite color being purple, that wasn't really why I made it all that. I mean, it was just an illusion. William's favorite color being purple just kind of transfers over to Glitchtrap, given that Glitchtrap is an embodiment of his soul, and like agony and revenant, like fused. And so his favorite color being purple is just kind of a given as well. But so it was because of the Glitchtrap's influence over his body is the reason for his purple hair and scar. Now Michael's appearance was a foreshadow to this very point. Having him in all purple made it similar to William's all purple trench coat. His hair and scar similar to that point as well. When I made William lose the scar and faded the purple to darker brown, that indicated that Glitchtrap drew himself into the back of William's mind to search his memories for certain events that only William's subconscious would have. This was intended to draw to Michael because of his similar purple hair and purple scar. I even alluded to this in the video Zach and Zachary talk about the AU. And I'm sure most people thought it was probably because Michael is just a walking corpse, and so the purple scar is just that corpse. Well, it is a reasonable point to make that, and I'm sure that's what kind of prevented everybody from realizing the hint there. But the foreshadow was still actually meant to draw away from this, like you're supposed to collide with them. Now, Glitchtrap drawing himself into the back of William's mind to search his memories, the reason this happened was because it kind of leads into Glitchtrap's origins. Like, Glitchtrap himself didn't know the reason of his own creation. He might know that he existed and was alive, but he didn't realize how it happened. He didn't have those memories. So looking back to it from William's perspective, he realized that, and since he's a lot more clever, he realized that William's actions were the actions that Glitchtrap had his entire focus was based on. William's anger being transferred to Glitchtrap, and since no other emotions were holding him back, he had full reign to just go ahead and completely insane and kill kids and kill other people if he had to. That's really what Glitchtrap's memories and emotions were stemming from. So him blaming William for his own actions is not entirely wrong. It'd be no different than me taking out my own anger, creating a clone of myself, and throwing that anger onto my clone. Glitchtrap had years to come to terms with stuff, and he kind of gained his own sentience, rather than just be a lifeless doll forwarding an agenda that William prevented himself from, suffering. That's literally the reason behind that. And that's also why there are certain things of other Glitchtraps are going to be made pretty clear in the future. Having their appearances, the often appearances as they are, and knowing what I would do with them in later the story, the FNAF's appearances were based around wear and tear. Except for Chica. See, I accidentally screwed up her skin color in literally the very first video, which is so hilarious. It was an actual mistake. I was messing around with Chica and just kind of forgot to change her skin color back. So I just created this weird, stupid little thing in the next video afterwards, and I just kind of did that whole thing. I played off their designs as them being broken down and terribly done in. I've already played with the events that William and Henry made more animatronics than what is established in the games. So you have the original FNAF models, right? And then so basically they made more than those models. They made different variants of those models. That's what I'm trying to explain here. So there were a few more copies of them. Some were worn out more than others. Now this is where the topic of the Phantoms comes into play, because in the Aftermath video I had Foxy explain that he was the original copy and that Foxy was not. In the very beginning, the original animatronics were Foxy Bonnie and Freddy and Chica, like their original appearance, like what they actually looked like in the beginning. Right? There was the first versions of them were the originals. That's what the Phantoms portray. The Phantom models that I have in my videos, let's just remember that this is an alternate universe and I'm not trying to claim events here. They're models that I've made. Those would technically be what they would have looked like in the past. So Foxy would look like that. Bangle would look like what she is now. In fact, I have the regular version of Bangle somewhere in my character list somewhere, without the Phantom colors. And she looks typical to most people's design color, you know, white and pink. But like Freddy and all that, that's what they would look like. The reason why the current cast of Foxy, Bonnie, Chica, you know, the reason why they look different is because of something I mentioned in my timeline video. They're in an entirely different animatronic now. The Phantom versions are the real ones. They're the real original models of Foxy, Bonnie, and well, if I included Bonnie, Chica, and all of them. If they had Phantom forms, I would show them too, but I don't. But yeah, they're the originals. So whereas the animatronic bodies of Volume 1 for Foxy's Redine were meant to be alternate copies, this is something that the puppet kind of did. She kind of placed them in new bodies. This is why Foxy didn't have his eye patch, and why Freddy had brown eyes instead of blue. It's funny. People just, I'm assuming people just like, your designs are shit. You didn't do enough for them, and it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I did exactly what I wanted them to do. I mean, you don't judge and you don't jump to a conclusion instantly. Now, all these comments come from people who are on reactions, because they jump into videos and they think they can just say whatever the hell they want because they think they know everything, and that because the reaction is a reaction. So it's like, I get so many notifications like saying, "Where's Michael?" It's like, what are you talking about? That is Michael. That right there is Michael in the video. It's the video where it's He'll Never Be the Same music video, and it just has Michael and the Afton family, and someone's like, "You're forgetting William." Sorry, or "You're forgetting Michael." I was like, what are you talking about? That isn't William, that's Michael. When I semi-killed off Foxy, I had William repair him. And then this is the reason why I added Foxy's eye patch to him, because there wasn't any spare eyes of the same color, so like orange, orange is really, so because all the other all the other eyes were they weren't any, they were all gone. So the faulty version of the eye was placed inside Foxy instead, and then he was wearing an eye patch. And then later I changed Freddy's eyes from brown to blue, indicating the little thing I had going with William, improving them and stuff like that. This was the intention for their designs. This is why Foxy didn't have his eye patch and why Freddy didn't have blue eyes. Everything I do usually has meaning. The only real mistake I've ever made was Chica. Her having brown skin was a mistake. I was messing around in Gacha Life's skin color thing, trying to see which skin color would be appropriate for Chica, and I just kind of changed it around and stuff like that, and I guess I just forgot. It's the stupidest mistake you could ever make. It's like I was making screenshots of these characters for the first reaction. How did I never see it? And so it really boggled my mind how I'd release that video. How I'd make that video and complete it, right? And then just realized, well, damn it, her skin color is wrong. And I actually thought about this for a while. I actually thought about cropping out her lower body. Sorry, her entire body, and like changing each position of those, like using Photoshop, right? I thought about cropping out her entire body using Photoshop and have her in the exact same positions as I did in the video, and then just take the video that I just rendered, place it back into the video editor software, and then take what I just cropped out of Gacha Club, Gacha Life, using Photoshop, and just overlap them so it look like she's the one that I'm using her. It was a clever idea, but at the time I was like, this is just too much for me.
I can't do this right now. I'm not gonna do that. And so I just rolled with it.
Anyway, people need to understand that I generally do stuff for reasons. If you feel like if you really honestly think that I've done this because I did it as a mistake and I'm just using what I just said as an excuse to prove that, oh, you're just saying that. No. Trust me. I didn't make a timeline video because I thought it was fun, okay? I didn't make all that because I thought it was fun. I made that because that's how everything happened. People, they don't go through this unnecessary stuff, and they really don't, because their timeline videos are like a couple minutes long, and they're just stating single words or a few sentences to determine it. Like, I'm gonna explain my AU. Right, that's what they start off with, and they're like, Glitchtrap controls William, Miss Afton is called Clara, Chris, Evan, I have Vincent as Glitchtrap, this and that, and then they end the video, that's it, done. And they don't care about it anymore. Apparently people just roll with it, apparently. Not everybody, but that's generally what, I know it sounds a bit mean, but for the people out there who do that and do watch my videos and happen to come across these words as you're listening to them now, I'm not hating on this, but I feel like if you're expecting people to understand what it is you just said, I'm gonna have to tell you, I don't think what you've even said is all that much. And the reason why I've delayed this little ending is coming down to the one of the most annoying things I keep hearing from people. Glitchtrap and William, most of all. But
Glitchtrap can't exist and, you know, not be William at the same time is wrong. See, I am giving these people a little bit more credit than I should. In order to debunk their ability to even complain about my thing, I made it so that technically Glitchtrap is still William. Those three pieces, you got the Glitchtrap we all know and love from the Help Wanted, and then you have the Glitchtrap I use to kill kids. The Glitchtrap I use to kill kids isn't just some random entity that I created just to satisfy my craving for have Glitchtrap, you know, control William. Glitchtrap is made up of William's soul. So in essence, Glitchtrap is William Afton. That is what I'm trying to say. So people who want to come onto my reaction videos and say William is Glitchtrap, it's not that he can't, that kind of thing. Huh, you're right. Glitchtrap is William. Now you can go away now and disappear. He is you're right, he is William. Congratulations. He is the anger and absolute rage that William had, possessed and fused with the agony that was already there, creating the amalgamation that is Glitchtrap. And so Glitchtrap now goes on to kill kids, and that's where this all starts. William himself, now him personally, he's still the same person. He's still an innocent dude. And not only is he even innocent, now his anger is just completely separated from him. So now he's even less angry than he was before. And that leads him down, because now he's defenseless. People can really take advantage of you, and that's exactly what Glitchtrap did. Glitchtrap felt connected to William, and so he took control of William instantly. William had no idea and could not resist his advances. That's why in the beginning, Glitchtrap could easily take control of William. But over time, that kind of changed, especially when William dies. I talked about this for way too long, but we are coming down to the thing I've been delaying up until now. And I was talking about how this is one of the other things that people like to say and talk about when it comes to reactions, and that's Golden Freddy. Yes, I have been delaying. This was the last thing I had to talk about before I swapped over to Mike Fazbear. But Golden Freddy, a change people can't seem to come to terms with because they like to talk, and they don't know anything, clearly. But Golden Freddy's female animatronic appearance, something people don't like. Gender bending the design of Golden Freddy to be female was because naturally Cassidy is female, and I felt in all of the scenes that I needed for Cassidy with the puppet made more sense if she appeared female as Golden Freddy. There's something that people really need to understand here is that it's just Golden Freddy and Cassidy. It's not Chris. This is obvious. This is so damn obvious because Chris is present within my AU. If he was inside Golden Freddy, he would not be around. I wouldn't be like, oh, he'd be a spirit. No. If I had Chris or Evan or whoever be Golden Freddy, he'd be Golden Freddy. He wouldn't be a spirit with a halo above his head outside of Golden Freddy. He wouldn't be any of that. If I had him as Golden Freddy alongside Cassidy, he'd be inside Golden Freddy. That's all. That's all it would ever be, and that's how I would do it because I wouldn't do it any other way. But unfortunately, I'm not doing that. Cassidy is the only person inside Golden Freddy, and that's all it'll ever be. Another thing to make note of, and this is something else. Golden Freddy being female and Cassidy being female. There are people who ship Golden Freddy with other people, right? Just imagine how dumb that looks when you make Golden Freddy a male when the actual soul inside is female, and then have Golden Freddy act as if he's a straight male for some reason, or a bisexual male, when the soul inside of him is a female. So you're basically having a female act as a male when they're not. You see how this is weird? Now, it's different in like stories like Blaze Blue, I think it's called, where the protagonist, I might be butchering this, but there's a protagonist who went from male to female. They eventually kind of just decode themselves and become just, they kind of just become female. That's the difference here. There is a complete difference between that scenario and this scenario. The difference is that Golden Freddy is not actually an organic being, meaning there's no hormones or pheromones that are, and testosterone and all that kind of other stuff that are literally forcing you to become what you weren't at originally. Like, Cassidy isn't becoming male. Her soul is still physically female, which means she's still physically a female no matter what animatronic body she is possessing. So Golden Freddy acting as a male when with Cassidy, who's female on the inside, that doesn't make sense. So having Golden Freddy like being shipped with like females, it's a bit weird. I know people still complain about the whole shipping stuff, but it's not about that. We're talking about whether or not people ship Golden Freddy as a straight male or bisexual male with other females. You're really not. You're just fipping. You're actually and technically shipping a female with another female. It doesn't matter what you have portrayed as Golden Freddy's gender. That's what it is. And you can realize how when I thought about this, I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever even heard. Especially considering I'm not the type of person to ship like really anything other than feelings. In my story, shipping is feeling based only because I realize that they're just animatronics with souls inside. The only thing they could really ever do is share their emotions and feelings for another and nothing else. They can't ever share body contact because it's an animatronic and it doesn't have physical contact, at least not physical sensational. It's not like it has some type of sensors that can detect physical contact. They're not that advanced. So really the best thing they could do is just tell each other that they like each other or tell each other that they feel connected to them. It's just feeling based. That's what my ships consist of because I realize that's how it is. That's how it should be in most cases. They shouldn't go any further than that. At the end of the day, it was a simple decision, and I acted on it. And as I said, it would have been weird otherwise. It's also, now this is something, it's also funny that people would think that that Golden Freddy that she is possessing is the only copy of Golden Freddy that exists. I've said this already. There are alternate versions of all the copies of the animatronics. That includes Golden Freddy. The only two that don't have physical copies are Spring Bonnie and Fredbear. But Fredbear and Golden Freddy are two different animatronics. Fredbear does look like Golden Freddy, but there is a difference. Golden Freddy is still a bit different than Fredbear, and so they have different alternate copies as well. The original copy of Golden Freddy is male. The gender of Golden Freddy originally was male, but that version is no longer present. It's burned to the ground. When William and Cassidy were in hell, and Cassidy was presumably torturing William for absolutely nothing. When she does release him, he goes on to possess his original state, and he does end up fixing it a little bit. And then she has to possess another body, so she possesses one of the alternate copies, which just so happens to be a female. But the original version of Golden Freddy, if I were to ever present that original version, whether it be a Phantom or whatever, would be male. See what I did there? See, now, the reason why I say this is because if I ever did bring in a so-called, quote-unquote, golden, like, Phantom Golden Freddy, the Phantom versions of all the the Phantoms, they all possess their own, like, kind of, like, spiritual sentience, I guess you want to say, like an animatronic sentience. And it would be pretty interesting, because now that would be a male. It would be a perfect representation of Golden Freddy, because it wouldn't be Cassidy inside. It would be a sentient Golden Freddy and just happens to be male. That would be better than the alternative, because now that's actually acting as a proper male Golden Freddy that doesn't have a female soul inside. That would be better represented. But I don't plan on bringing a Phantom Golden Freddy into the mix ever, so I mean, I might, but that wouldn't happen. It just doesn't appeal to me. But that is all I have time for William's tragedy. I just wanted to tell you guys all that stuff. It's an important little factor. Now, Mike Fazbear, this is a story that's been confusing people, and I'll just explain it again, I guess. Despite all the information I've given about it already. So the thing that people need to understand is that you really do need to eliminate the idea that this is somehow related to, like, the FNAF games or the books. Yeah, I mean, yes, it does take place in a FNAF universe of sorts, but it is far too different of a story or a universe to really be classified as such. So at the end of the day, it really is just an original story, and I've added my own spin on it. I'm sure one of the questions and one of the confusing things is Mike, as in Mike Afton, right? No and yes. Mike in Mike Fazbear has the same mother, but William isn't the father. So even though Mike here can be said to be the same as Mike Afton, the two are completely different people. However, Mike from Mike Fazbear is in fact Mike Afton's counterpart. At least it is in this story. The same goes for Elizabeth. Elizabeth isn't Elizabeth Afton, but she is the counterpart for her in this story. They represent the same people, but the story has them playing different roles. I hope you understand this. This story is playing with the idea that William and Henry never met, and that Clara and William never married. Henry met another person who became his partner, and Clara met another man who eventually married. That's how that goes. This is a reasonable and given the small changes to history, can create a huge impact on the resulting after effects. Something so major as to change Henry's partner from William to another gives the story an entirely different point of view. Not to mention I've made this universe a bit more advanced than normal, which will change how they behave given their environment is more advanced. You get it? In the original timeline, Henry either met William or William met Henry, and then they founded Fredbear's Family Diner. But instead, Henry meets someone else, and then Henry suggests the idea of Fredbear's Family Diner. Now, Henry suggests the idea of animatronics, but then the other person kind of suggests something else, but this doesn't happen right away. So, funny enough, with Fredbear's Family Diner being open in Mike Fazbear, that technically means that Fredbear and Spring Bonnie technically exist within Mike Fazbear. But no murders happened within this universe, so Fredbear's Family Diner doesn't shut down, and they keep earning business, which is why they had more money to set up in this universe. But Henry's partner suggests a change in their entertainment, that being the animatronics being replaced with something a little bit more realistic. Now, this is where Mike's involvement in the story plays in, right? Because he's the engineer who designed the humanoid robots that you can just infer from what this person is saying by realistic. Now, I'm gonna stop there
because you kind of get the idea. And I will say that Mike Fazbear is a major what-if story, talking about how things could go if Earth had or if things on Earth advanced faster, and if certain key characters took different paths in our life. Treat it as you will, because you really have to understand the title Mike Fazbear. I'm sure this is something people have been wanting to know. Mike Fazbear. Why do we call it Mike? Why do I call it Mike Fazbear? Mike is the title, and then Fazbear is the subtitle. The reason it's called Mike Fazbear and not Mike Freddy Fazbear is because in this universe, the original animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, they were never created. You gotta remember, William is not the partner for Henry this time, it's someone else. So this person suggests an entirely different entertainment direction, and that's where the humanoid robots come into play. Even though they failed to really get this restaurant up and running, that was what the person wanted. So Henry or William never had the chance to create the robots or the animatronics because, well, one, William isn't there anymore, and Henry, well, got suggested a new kind of thing. So the restaurant name could not be called Freddy Fazbear if Freddy didn't exist. That's why it's just called Fazbear Entertainment instead of Freddy Fazbear Entertainment or Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. It's just called Fazbear's Pizza instead. That's why it's called Mike Fazbear instead of the alternative. That's the title's name, and that's why that's the reason. If there was one, but that is the reason why it's called that. I want to go into more detail about Mike Fazbear, but I can't. Like I did with Mike Williams' tragedy, it was pretty long, pretty stretched there. But I haven't finished the story, and so going further into detail would be stupid. At least it would be to me. Ends offs for the future, reactions. And I'm sure people want to know about reactions. Reactions, I will continue doing them, but I will never do memes or TikTok. Doesn't matter what form it comes in. I will never do memes or TikTok. Suggesting these videos to me is pointless because I will never give them a second glance. I don't want to sound cold, but I just simply have no interest in making videos reacting to TikTok or memes. Especially like those of the other Gacha tubers. They exist for this reason. The other Gacha tubers who do TikTok and who do memes as reactions, they're there for everyone else to enjoy. I've said this in a previous post before, but I do not need to fill in the void that others have already done. They fill that void for everyone. If you want to watch memes and TikTok, or people who want to react to memes and TikTok, then you can go find them instead of myself. If you wish to see those kinds of reactions, that's where they are. I know that logic can apply to reactions to music videos, like I know that the logic applies to me making reactions to music videos, like said other Gacha tubers as well. However, the difference between meme and TikTok and this is that I can tie in my AU with some of the music videos I tend to watch. If they don't, I just make them non-canon and throw Zach's character in there. But that I can do that sometimes, but unlike meme videos and TikTok, they're just general random stuff. Like they're just random, right? They have no real merit to them. And so it's just generally weird in most cases, so I can't do it. I just don't possess any interest. So reactions will remain the way they have been. Music video related only. And when I say music related, I mean an actual music video, not I know TikTok will throw in some weird looping music stuff. I don't do that. I won't do that. Now, I know some of you probably want to know about what it is I'm planning for the future. Like FNAF, William's tragedy, Mike Fazbear, you know, those kinds of stories. They're not gonna last forever. They're finite. William's tragedy is going to end. eventually. Eventually, it's. I'm just gonna stop making William's strategy. It's gonna be over, and I'm gonna move on. And Mike Fazbear is also gonna end, and I'm gonna move on. And probably what's on most people's mind is whether or not I'm gonna continue like doing certain things. Like I don't actually know what you people think about. I know most of you is all reactions, but you kind of, people who watch reactions, you have to understand you should be thinking about this too, because I'm only gonna do reactions if my focus is like on a specific story. Mike Fazbear is never gonna have any of that. It's strictly a story and nothing else. But once I'm done William's tragedy, I'll have very little reason to go back and mess with the characters. Reactions aside, by the time I even get to the end of chapter 4, I'll have probably exhausted all of the songs that most people have reacted to with William's tragedies characters. And so there's plenty of things to react to. A lot of them are memes and TikTok. And a lot of the others are music. There's some music video like SFM's, like Steam frameworks that I haven't really watched, but I don't have time to watch every single like music video out there. I have no time for that. Once William's tragedy is done, that's it. I'm moving on. Moving on. That's a long time from now. It's not like around the corner. It's not like a month away or anything like that. Like people don't have to worry about this stuff right now. But I'm just saying, it is inevitable. At some point in the next year, William's tragedy is over. And so was Mike Fazbear. Well, Mike Fazbear might actually still be going on at that time. But William's tragedy will be done. And I will probably move on to something else. I know I started this channel on like FNAF, and so a lot of people that are here are FNAF related, but it will not be forever. I might go on other fandoms like Undertale. I've said this in a previous post. The story about Undertale. It's a flawed one. It's very. I kind of just thought about it one day, and I was like, I'll write this up, see how it goes. It's a bit. I don't know how to do it. I feel like the whole Undertale story would fit better if when I'm better at like creating like gacha. Sorry, it's not what I wanted to say. I don't know how I would say it. It would probably be like, how I say every video should be better than the last. I feel like a story like Undertale wouldn't really work out in modern day. Well, no, it could work, but that's not how the story worked on words. It was in the underground, but I'd have to change that because it's not easy. It's not easy creating a story with random backgrounds. This is why I was just saying, if I'm like really good at like just cropping out stuff, then I'd have no problem just like swapping in my own backgrounds and then literally using those backgrounds as my story stuff. It's obviously a hell of a lot easier to just use Gacha Club's like backgrounds they just provide you, because you don't have to crop anything out, and all your time isn't spent using like Photoshop or something like that, and it's just a waste of time. But at that point, like, I really have to like start deciding things here, because like, do I really want to use Gacha Club's set backgrounds like for an eternity? Now you'll notice in some of like Evelyn and Mike Fazbear's videos, I use backgrounds that just don't exist in Gacha Club. Well, it's different than creating an entire story that would be using nothing but different backgrounds. So I don't feel like I've gotten good enough at creating videos in Gacha Club, especially, and like cropping, Photoshop cropping of characters. I don't think I've gotten good enough for that to warrant a Undertale story like the one I've provided. So I might just change it up. I might change like a little bit of the setting, but I might keep the general um, stuff I written down for that story in play. So that way I can use Gacha Club's backgrounds and make things go faster. But I don't know. I don't know how that'll play out because by the time I get to that point, it'll be months from now. This video will be months old by the time I'm thinking about that kind of stuff. And then there's the other story, right? We're moving on here. Then there's the other story about the vampires, the werewolves, and the angels, and the demons, and the demon beasts, and my character, OC, that is with, there's two of them. There's her name's Lilia, obviously. Her name's Lilia and Aiko, or whatever, however now you pronounce that name, I always forget. Two characters. The premise of the story is that this is a summary, so I have no problem revealing this. The purpose of like how everything kind of starts is the vampire. Well, they're both vampires, but I'll explain that in a second. The main character, the character I've like basically showed off already twice, the one with the blonde hair, Lilia Masters. Lilia Masters. She's a vampire who is basically this top rated. She's known by like the world basically as the red-eyed assassin, right? Because she's a vampire, but she's extremely known by the populace or by the organizations that exist in the supernatural world as an assassin, most of all. So she's referred to as the red-eyed assassin, and so she's like killing people, like slaughtering like just about anybody really, children or not, kind of deal. And she meets this boy, Aiko or Aiko, however you want to pronounce his name, probably butchered both times. And he's got this unique presence about him that because she's an assassin, she can basically just kind of read and understand people. Not to mention she's got this weird ability herself, tied to her origins, and it's like her entire mind fixates on this boy's soul, and it basically like purifies her in a way. Not to say purifies her physically, but basically his soul kind of like influences her in a way. It's kind of like subtle mind control, but not a subtle mind control at the same time. And so the boy, kind of changes her at that point because they kind of just meet in unweird circumstances. Sorry, they meet in very weird circumstances. Like she just literally came back from like slaughtering like a whole massacre, killing people, and he's just kind of out there on his own, just a boy out in the wilderness. Who knows what happened to him? And they just kind of meet, eyes locked, face to face, kind of thing. And then that's kind of how the story starts. The little bits in between, how could a person like her be changed by him? That's all left under a mystery. And then years go by, and that's where the story would start. The premise is a bit typical. I'd say it's a bit very, very typical to a lot of stories. But so she's a vampire, and he's technically a vampire too. He's like half human, half vampire, but he's unique. And that unique side, that half human, half vampire, and the whole structure around it, that's a mystery all on its own too. Because he's one of the vampires that, for some reason, can take blood from other vampires and use that as his own strength. And that I'm fine with revealing that. That's all fun because that's instantly going to be revealed in like the very first few chapters. So there's no point in not revealing it. But for the later stuff, if I I talk about it as if I'm gonna like do it, and I will. That'll be a long time from now. I need to know how to deal with like fighting more, because that story is going to be heavily fighting based. Like there's gonna be a lot. I said very like that sounded really stupid. Basically, a lot of that is going to involve fighting, and a lot of it between 2 people, 3 people, or like just a collage of people. I'm not really good at fighting quite yet in these videos, like gacha videos. Like the whole fight scenes are pretty basic. I really need to
mature on that level before I think about trying to create that story, because then it will look stupid every time. And I thought about this too, where I was just gonna create like an introduction to that story and have my OC Lilia Masters meet a random person and then have them duke it out. And that video will basically be me trying to like test my abilities on whether or not I'm capable of doing a story. It'll literally just be a video of two people fighting and then it'll end off. But that's all I have time for those two topics. Now, last thing, and this is extremely important to myself, and this is going to blow the video up pretty far. Alternate universes. It's a big deal. I don't know how many of you know about the overwhelming disagreement in this community when it comes to alternate universes. A typical story genre. It's ridiculous. I also know how wrong a lot of these people are when it comes to complaining about alternate universes. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about those that enter conversations about universes' flaws or plot holes. Those are genuine questions people should be asking or complaining about. What I'm talking about are those that refuse to acknowledge the concept of alternate universes as a whole. An alternate universe, for all intended purposes, is exactly what it says it is. An alternate universe. William's tragedy is an alternate universe because it prevents different outcomes. But then you have people telling me, or you, William is a killer. Or William wasn't possessed by Glitchtrap. He is Glitchtrap. You know, that kind of thing. Or Miss Afton isn't named Clara, or the crying child isn't named Chris or Evan, or whatever damn name people want to give that kid. You know, the thing is I know that the games and the books portray William as a killer. I know it all well, but take a moment here. Does it look like that my videos are me reading the books? Does it look like I am playing the games? No, I'm not. Everything you know about something is in the title. The title says AU, which stands for Alternate Universe. If you don't know what that is, Google it and learn about it. The people over in Reddit, I'm not gonna generalize all of them, but the people that do on Reddit, they know who they are. Those people, you know who you are. They have no idea what they're talking about. Nor do those comments on my videos telling me the same thing. People, they feel the need to harass you for something that is told to them directly. I mean, I have provided this information way too many times. In the title, in the description, in all of my videos, they are all titled. They're in the description. And not only that, just common sense, to be honest. Like, of course, it's not canon. It doesn't function as a canon at all. I mean, I've said this plenty of times. People actually need to take a look at the channel that they are talking shit about. Like, learn what an AU is, an alternate universe is, before you throw around words that is just simply not true. And do not mistake your honest opinion for fact. Alternate universes can be incredibly diverse, and I'm also aware that in this community, people are young, so they aren't aware of some of the stuff, and it kind of just flies over their head. But some people aren't very bright. They speak as if AUs, they speak about AUs and other people's AUs as if they were made canon. What? No. No. If the creator is trying to claim it as canon, then you can continue complaining about you can continue complaining about it. But if your complaint is about something related to an AU that isn't being claimed as canon, then you need to stop. You need to stop talking about it. It's an alternate universe. It isn't an excuse. It's a fact. If I want to gender bend a character from male to female or female to male, that makes it an alternate universe. If I want Henry to survive or to die in the fire in FNAF 6, that makes it an alternate universe. If I want to change Fox's eye patch or give Toy Chica her beak back in the FNAF 2 locations events, or have William survive the spring lock failure, give Foxy 6 toes, and have the nightmares as be fluffy little dolls, all of this makes it an alternate universe. These are facts about the genre. They cannot be argued. That makes it an alternate universe. If you attempt to argue this, you've lost the battle before it even began. talking about an AU as if it were supposed to be canon about others' content, like why William is bisexual, or why William isn't a killer, or why does William have a disability, why William is being gender bended, or other typical AU fantasies, in talking as if that's not canon when referring to an AU, then complaining about the same character that's telling you it's an AU, and that those words, it's an AU, is an excuse, you make no sense. They already have established that it's an alternate universe, which means you coming in and saying, I'm sorry, that's not an excuse for why you're doing the wrong thing. It's not canon. It blows my mind how people can even say these words. It makes them look stupid, and I'm not trying to like harp on and hate on people. You saying this stuff doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. An alternate universe. It is an alternate universe. There is no way to refute this. They are changing events. They are making William be someone that he clearly isn't. William, in the games, is a killer. He married someone, had 3 kids, the crying child, Elizabeth, and Mike. Changing any of these facts, whether about them personally, or whether he is a killer, whether any of them was born of the opposite gender, or anywhere in between, that tags it as an alternate universe, because those are not how the events transpired. You know, it's actually funny about Clara, right? People will be like, Clara is not the name of Miss Afton, and they'll even be like, if she even exists. I'm pretty sure that she does, unless of course the 3 children just kind of, you know, popped into existence. I'm pretty sure there's a physical being, an actual human and a woman, that made them, you know, that birthed them into existence. I'm pretty sure she's real, okay? Pretty sure Miss Afton existed. Doesn't matter if she divorced him in people's minds. Doesn't matter about that. But the statement that some people are like, oh, if she's real. I'm pretty sure she's real. Pretty sure she existed. Just thought I'd let you know. In case. Unless, of course, he had a one-night stand and she just happened to have 3 kids. That would be even funnier, but I'm not going to get into that. Claiming someone is using, you know, it's an AU as an excuse is a fallacy. You obviously don't want to go into any sort of details. You just want to kind of throw that out there as just a plain excuse for nothing else. Plain and simple, really. Use your head, please. I'm not hating. I'm not saying that you can't hate an AU, right? Like if I walk into an AU and be like, I don't know about this. I'm not really a big fan of having William have a disability, right? I'm not a big fan of him being bisexual, or I'm not a big fan of the crying child being absolutely abused by his siblings or something like that. I'm not a big fan of that. That's my preference, and so I can hate it or dislike it or do whatever. But I can't say that isn't canon. Of course it's not canon. It's an AU. It's an alternate universe. It's not meant to be canon. It never was, ever, meant to be canon, period. So the argument that you're establishing is merely meant to dish out hate and nothing else. And see, this is what I don't understand. You can't just come into someone's like videos and be like, and claim that an AU is what you think it should be. Because you think it should be canon, then it doesn't make it an AU at all. That person's story is not your own. You don't get to dictate what is in it. You don't get to dictate what they should be putting in their story. You aren't the king of this universe. You're not the omnipotent God that gets to decide what people should do. You don't demand things of anyone. You don't go force your opinions or preferences of an AU because that's what is morally acceptable in your mind, or you believe it should be canon. That's the problem with most of these complaints about AUs, that they are too far from canon. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's clear that no one has ever read the books in this gacha community ever. The books present a timeline so incredibly different from the games that you, as someone who says it strays too far from the canon, or that it should be closer to canon, just contradicted yourself. Because if you like the books, then you, by default, should like these things as well, AUs. The books and the games stray too far from each other. Do not give me Matt Pat's explanation for why the books and the games should be linked to each other. Matt is not saying, look, the books and the games are very similar and they should be connected somehow. They're not connected. There are events in the games that directly collide
with the events of the books. This is as plain as day. Pat is only trying to say that, like back in the day when he was trying to explain this to people, he was trying to say whether or not it was possible for humanoid-like robots to exist within the game's world, based on the fact that the author in the books, when writing the books, established Charlie as being a humanoid robot who existed in different variant robot versions of herself. That would mean that it is technically possible for a similar thing to happen in the games. That's what he's saying. He's not saying that the events are connected, which means in the games, it's not like there's a version of Charlie out there that just happens to be 4 different versions of a robot. Like, that doesn't happen. We know that Charlie dies and becomes a robot and ends up burning in FNAF 6. That's what happens. That's what happens. And another example, Funtime Freddy. Funtime Freddy in the games becomes Ennard, and then becomes Bolton Freddy, and then burns in FNAF 6. He does not become a garage inhabited psycho who goes out finding people to suck into his chest and then torture them and give them choices, one or the other. That doesn't happen. It does not happen ever in the games. What happens in the games is exactly what I just said. Ennard, Molten Freddy, burning in FNAF 6. These events collide with each other, and as so, they are completely different from each other, which means that they are an alternate universe. You kind of get the picture here, and that is just one thing, and also the Charlie thing with the robots. These are 2 different changes that have been established between the books and the games, and not to mention there's hundreds of others of differences between the books. They stray too far from each other because they're presenting different things that the games just simply do not have at all. So this stupid little excuse that these people make in regards to straying too far from the canon is ridiculous to me. There is no straying from anything. There is no line that you can create to say, oh, you're starting to cross that line where you're creating too much. That doesn't exist in an alternate universe. There is never a line. You can do some pretty crazy stuff in an alternate universe, and you, as the person complaining, can say nothing. Because you just can't. You can hate on it and say, I don't like that kind of thing, I'm not a big fan, blah blah blah, but you can't claim that it can't be done. That it can't happen. It can happen, regardless of whether you like it or not. This video has gotten way too long, so I'm going to stop here. It's obvious that this stuff, continuing to talk about it, is going to annoy the shit out of me. So, this is where this video is coming to an end. Alternate universes, William's strategy, Mike's Fazbear, the vampire story, Undertale, all of these things, these are what I wanted to talk about. Reactions. I can't forget about reactions. There is going to be one final thing I will end off on, and that is the episode 6 of Mike Fazbear. Episode 6 is going to involve Evelyn with Mike, confrontation. It might actually take longer to make that video than this one, and that's just how it is. I need to focus on some things in this video, and there's going to be a lot of very minute details that I have to get out of the way. And if I can't do it, then I'm gonna have to constantly redo them, and so it's just gonna take long, and it's unavoidable, and I can't avoid that. So this is where I'm gonna wrap up the video. Thanks for listening. If you've reached the video through all of what I just said, then I pat you on the back for being able to do that. In any case, this is where I stop. Thank you, and take care.